Lord Mayor. Okay, no. Thank you very much, Lord Mayor. I stand here to propose the Conservative Group financial proposals for the financial period covering 1st of April 2024 to the 31st of March 2025. Lord Mayor, going back, and the leader touched on it, on the 24th of February 2022, Russia invaded Ukraine, and this abhorrent act of aggression has caused tens of thousands of deaths and instigated Europe's largest refugee crisis since World War II. Both Ukraine and Russia are two of the major suppliers of energy and food and fertiliser commodities, and this brutal invasion has caused disruptions in supply chain and raised prices for these commodities in both developed and developing countries. As we cross the second anniversary of the invasion, the economic consequences are still being affected across the world. And although inflation here in the UK was over 10% at this time last year, it's projected to fall to 2% following strong work from our Conservative government. In France, inflation is predicted to be 3.4% and 3.1% in Germany. The impact of interest rate instability hangover over the past 2 years are still being felt here in Portsmouth. And today I'm going to formally propose on behalf of the Conservative Party our plans for 2024-25. Lord Mayor, a 4.99% increase in council tax is not what we would need, and as a Conservative group, this is not what we would have done. However, with the backdrop of the war in Ukraine and other pressures and the requirements to spend an additional £14.5 million in children's services and adult social care, we face difficult times. The budgetary pressures that have been outlined by the Section 151 officer have deemed that increase necessary. But I'm looking to the leader and his cabinet to take note of the pressures being placed on our communities and to ensure that we have tight financial controls in the coming financial year. Looking to the administration budget and the capital budget, I will single out a few schemes. As the leader has already mentioned, 380,000 for early years demand, 7.5 million for secondary and special school places, both of which, as he's pointed out, are government money passported directly to PCC, for which I would acknowledge the role that Penny Mordaunt has played in securing this funding. Indeed, Penny has been instrumental in a number of grants for Portsmouth from the Youth Investment Fund, 11,500 for Hilsey and Wimmering Centre, which I gather Councillor Madgwick is completely supportive of, 18,000 for the 70th Portsmouth Scout Group, and 1.4 million for King George V playing fields, being 3 examples. And since Penny's Dental Summit, we now have 3 new dental practices in the north of the city. In Penny, we have an MP who delivers for Portsmouth, doesn't write letters. Now, to pick on a few bits and pieces within the capital budget, climate change and greening the city highlights a further £100,000 investment again. This is a scheme that we welcome. However, the same amount was put forward by the Lib Dem administration last year, and so far only 70,000 of that has been spent. Last year, it was labelled as a doubling the tree canopy. My assumption last year was that we'd be spending that £100,000 on tree planting, which wasn't quite the case according to the former leader. It was also about letting the trees grow bigger, I seem to recollect, he said. But interestingly, the administration spent more last year on concreting over grass verges in Paulsgrove than it did on greening the city. Looking to outside court improvements and play area improvements, of the £920,000, almost 50% of that is being spent on Brandsbury Park, and well over 60% of these budgets being spent in the south of the city. Local elections on the horizon, perhaps? We've not even got to Brandsbury Leisure Centre yet, Lord Mayor. But Brandsbury Leisure Centre, Lord Mayor, this project has now risen from 16 million to 22 million, and we're now hearing that the sports hall facility is being taken out of that. Hopefully now, though, we have a fully funded scheme. But so far, the cost of this scheme has eclipsed the total cost of the Mountbatten Centre redevelopment, with its 50-metre pool, gym facilities, splash pool, cafeteria, changing facilities by several million, and to date, not a shovel in the ground. Within the housing and homelessness, the administration is seeking to create a central hub and reception facilities to the tune of £352,000. This is a £352,000 concept. It's not fully costed, and is the estimated capital for a fit-out space, I understand, within the civic offices, most likely on the ground floor. In my lifetime on the Council of Lord Mayor, the ground floor has been fitted out at least 4 times, to my knowledge. But unfortunately, Lord Mayor, this Lib Dem administration has form when it comes to schemes not fully costed. This year, we have Bransbury Park Leisure Centre, the new ground floor reception facilities. Last year, we had £500,000 for the purchase of Farlington playing fields, which weren't actually Farlington playing fields and wasn't successful, not even close. And then who can forget the St James Hospital pantomime? Moving on to resources now, Lord Mayor, and this one is a classic. £472,800 allocated for the Civic Office downsizing scheme, and the clue here is in the description, a review into downsizing the civic offices. So what this £472,000 is actually for is to carry out a review and come up with a study. But when you break down the costs of it, £204,000 for that is for business analyst consultants and feasibility studies. £182,000 of that is for project management staff. Now, you think staff in big numbers, that's just 2.5 posts. That's £73,000 per post that we're planning to do. And there's a further £58,000 in there for media and comms. That's an awful lot of money on consultants, media and comms for a feasibility study, Lord Mayor. So much for the Lib Dems' promise to cut back on consultants. For our part, Lord Mayor, we've looked to support our local communities, particularly those in the often overlooked areas, Copner, Hilsey, Drayton and Farlington and Cossam, which have traditionally been ignored by the Lib Dem administration in the scramble for votes in Southsea. We've held public meetings, we've listened to residents who are fearful of speeding traffic in Copner and Hilsey. Those residents want safer streets, not £500,000 worth of studies and reviews. So we've looked to put money into those communities to meet with their concerns at a local level. Cotham High Street is often ignored by the Liberal Democrats. There's no votes there, so let's not bother. Cotham High Street is a key local shopping district in the north of the city. So we're proposing a fund to enhance the public realm, make it more attractive for local shoppers to come and to protect those businesses that are already there. ANPR cameras around our schools, something that Conservatives introduced under my watch. These have proved extremely successful in making the areas around our schools significantly more safer. We're proposing additional monies into that to actually reinforce that, to make life easier for our parents and our children to be able to walk to school in safety. Another area of concern that we are regularly picking up on are pavements. Broken, damaged, poor disability access. They're all regular concerns that we hear time and time again, Lord Mayor. We're proposing a dedicated fund to address those concerns. The PFI contract is coming to an end, and we must seek to make accessibility for pedestrians safe. That's why we are proposing the fund, which will be citywide availability. Let's look to make accessibility for all of our residents, irrespective of their physical ability to be able to move around our city safely. Our amendment, Lord Mayor, is a listening amendment. It seeks to take on the views of our residents and support them in their aspirations to improve their local communities. And finally, Lord Mayor, a massive thank you to all the staff who supported councillors of all parties in the excellent job they do, and in particular my thanks to Chris Ward and his team for supporting creating our budget amendment. Lord Mayor, I commend the Conservative budget amendments. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Bosher. I will now call the leader of the Labour Group, Councillor Gerarda, to respond. Any amendments will need to be proposed and seconded. They're given to me in writing before the amendment is discussed further or put to the meeting. Councillor Gerarda. Oh, and welcome back.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody. It's nice to be back. Thank you, my Lord Mayor.